What's up, friends? Reviewing The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is a movie that's currently on Netflix, but could disappear. It's been out for a while, and it has an approximate runtime of 2 hours 38 minutes. Directed by David Fincher, who, I didn't know this, but he directed Gone Girl, Social Network, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Mindhunters on Netflix. Sick show, by the way. But he directed all those, so, and you can really get a sense of the same, like, vibe, darkness, grittiness in the same movie. So if you liked those, so essentially it stars Daniel Craig. So if you guys remember, he's James Bond, and he's like this reporter, kind of down on his luck, and he gets hired by this old dude to investigate a murder in his own family. Smart mind, and you get a sense of that really quickly. In this movie, Daniel Craig he's calm, he's cool, he's collected, he's witty, he has a great sense of humor, and he's to the point. You can tell when he's piecing things together. Well acted, very well acted. This movie's unique because there's really two separate plot lines. So while Daniel Craig is investigating this reporter, we also get a little bit insight, and we get to look into the story of Rooney Mara's character, who is this hacker investigator who's just extremely OP, super overpowered, super smart, blows everyone out of the water. She's just very misunderstood. You know, nobody really, she dresses unique, which personally, I think her fits are fire. She's not as nice to everybody as most people are, just in passing. So people like discount her often, which totally unwarranted, right? But we kind of get a sense into her life and get a look into her, what's happening with her life, and eventually they converge to try to solve this case together. And it is a wild ride. Let me tell you, it is a wild ride. And the reason I say this is because it is gritty. It is dark. It is a dark film. So if you're not a fan of dark, gritty mysteries where things can get pretty bad pretty quick and things are moving quickly, it's very much like, who could be it? Who could be it? Who could be it? You know, it holds your attention the entire way. It's very charged. It's thought-provoking. You know, it's best if you go into this movie expecting to think, expecting to try and figure out the case. I will say, it's not a very open and shut, very straightforward mystery. It's a little bit hard to solve it before Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara. There's a lot of movies out there where you can solve the case before them and then you know the answer and you're waiting for the characters to catch up. This movie's definitely not that. It's you are going to be working at the exact same pace as Daniel Craig. And as he finds out clues, you get them, and you can try piecing them together faster than him. But either way, fantastic film. If you're a really big fan of mysteries or dark thrillers, then this is definitely the film for you. Whether you fall in love with the characters or not, I would say very much so. Like, you definitely are very drawn towards Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara almost immediately. Rooney Mara might take a second to get acquainted with, but trust me, you root for her pretty quickly. And it's really cool. Their dynamic and chemistry together is fantastic, and you can really feel it through the screen, and they both killed it. And it is dark, so if you're not a fan of shows and movies going to dark places, and I'll explain more in the Parents Guide, but if you're not a fan of going dark places or exploring dark themes, then I would suggest trying a different movie. The mystery itself is really engaging, and it's awesome because the way the director goes about it is they show you the characters one by one, and you learn more about them as you go. And so you're meeting all these characters who, you know, they might be involved in this whole thing, right? But they seem so nice when you meet them first. So it's really cool to see who's BSing and who's actually telling the truth. The plot definitely hooks you. So if you're a person who's really into plot-driven films where things happen at a rapid rate, you have to be paying attention the whole time. You can't be working on stuff. It's definitely a film that, like, you need to devote your time, attention to. But if you do, it's a wild adventure. It also has some fantastic soundtrack. So it's not like music soundtrack, but the director does a really good job of holding tension and also using silence to mitigate tension. Funny enough, he uses silence to increase tension. So there'll be scenes where it'll be dead silent and you don't want to hear a single sound because Daniel was like sneaking around. So if you're a fan of dark mysteries, complex characters, this is the film for you. Perfect setting, definitely not with your parents. I would suggest with friends, close friends or alone. Like, this is a great film to enjoy alone at the end of the day if you just want to get lost in a different world. And it wraps up pretty well, so it's not one of those films where the ending is just bone. Definitely check it out. I would rate it a 4, as in totally recommend watching and paying attention. If you resonate with anything I mentioned earlier, if when I was explaining the movie, if you were like, oh, that seems like something I would be interested in, then definitely I would recommend checking it out. Now, moving on to Roger's Parental Guide. Essentially, this is an area where I'll be giving a little bit of insight into the type of content that I'll just be telling you straight up what type of content's in it, so you can decide for yourself if this is something you want to show your kids, which I would not recommend, but if you want to show your friends or if you want to watch yourself and stuff like that. So there are spoilers in my parental guide. So if you really are interested in this movie and don't want to hear any of this, I recommend checking out the movie for yourself. And then let me know in the comments below what you think after you check it out. If you liked the review, if you thought it captured the movie, or if you thought it was BS, let me know so that I can learn and, change for the future. So let me start off by saying this is not a movie for kids. There are dark themes, definitely some of the darkest I've seen in movies altogether. So nobody under 18, I would suggest. Kids these days are smart though. So if you like this type of content, or if you have watched this type of content in the past and you found it doesn't faze you, or you understand the difference between right and wrong, and then this might be the movie for you. But in terms of action and violence, I would rate it a 4 out of 5. It's not too outrageous to where it's grotesque or gross, but there are scenes where characters get hit in the head with golf clubs and you'll see the impact. A little bit gruesome. It is a murder mystery, so there's the whole murder aspect. But there is one scene where the characters go through a series of photographs. Spoiler alert, it's photographs that depict a couple additional murders, and those photographs are grotesque. They're really visceral images of people being their heads bashed in, like brutal content. So definitely would not recommend, or would recommend skipping past the part if that kind of content irks you. But again, if that content irks you, I would not recommend this movie altogether, because even though the photographs and the scene is quick, the themes and the topics and like the ideas behind them are referenced throughout the entire movie. So if you don't like that, you're not gonna like it all the way through. In reference to sexual content, innuendo, I would rate it a 5. So this movie is really, as I mentioned many times before, dark, and they reference everything from rape to incest to it's bad. It's really bad. So I've attached some timestamps of scenes specifically that contain nudity. So there is a lot of female nudity and almost full male nudity, except for specific parts that are like blocked by objects or stuff like that. It's pretty much male and female nudity. There's also rape scenes. It's brutal, right? So if that bothers you, I would recommend skipping over this movie. In terms of language, it also has strong language, the F word many times, stuff like that. It's not that apparent. I wouldn't say it's something that, if language is the only thing holding you back, not that apparent or that bad in this movie. But if the other themes did irk you, then the language is just going to add to that, and I would not recommend checking this movie. So with that, that's the parental guide. And then finally, what do you learn, or takeaways? So funny enough, one thing I learned, or I thought was really cool, was how Daniel Craig dealt with cigarettes. When he bought a pack, instead of like keeping the pack, he, in order to like get the feeling of smoking but not actually like go into smoking again, he bought a full pack, took one out, and then threw the pack away. So I know, waste of money, 100%. But this is a great way to get like a tiny taste, but to ensure you don't, honestly, you should just stay away altogether. But it's a great way to get a tiny taste, but then make sure you don't hook yourself on the whole pack, because definitely should not be smoking packs of cigarettes. So that's one thing that I thought was unique. Other than that, I wouldn't say there's many lessons in this movie. It's more of an entertaining movie, totally worth the adventure, but I don't know if it's necessarily like something where you're gonna learn a lesson in the end. But nevertheless, if you resonate with anything I mentioned before, if you're a fan of dark mysteries, complex characters, and intricate plot lines, this is the movie for you. Highly recommend checking it out. If you like this video, smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next movie.